In this video, we're going to take this image, which was taken in a park in Japan during cherry blossom season, and we will transform it into this image. And as a bonus option, we're going to talk about how to use snapshots within Affinity Photo. So let's get back to the original, and let's get at it. Okay, so as you recall, in our 6 steps to creative photo editing, we first go through the 6 steps of corrective adjustments. And so the first thing on that list would be lens correction. Now I have lens correction set up to automatically enable, and your editor of choice may have the same thing, or if you're using Affinity, you may have this already set. The one thing that isn't always set automatically is chromatic aberration. So you can turn that on manually, and then we're ready for the next step, which is exposure. So let's go back to the basic tab, and this is a little bit dark, so we're going to bring it up just a bit, enough to get us part of the way there to that what that final image looks like. The white balance in this particular image is good, so we're not going to touch it, but it's always good to assess that and make any adjustments as necessary. Crop and straighten, the same thing. I happen to get this one level, so we're not going to do anything with crop and straighten. I like the composition and the layout within the frame, so we're going to leave that as it is. There's no distractions at the moment that I want to remove, but we may go back and take a look at some of the things in the final image that we may want to get rid of. But for now, we'll leave that just as it is. Okay, so now we're getting ready to do our creative edit. The one thing that's really important for creative photo editing is to have a target in mind when you take the shot, and make sure that when you're taking that shot that you compose it and set up your shot in support of what that final image is going to look like. Likewise, when you're editing, you want to edit with intent. You want to keep the goal in mind. You want to determine what adjustments will best suit the end goal, and have in mind what done will look like, so you're not in a repetitive state of tweaking forever and ever. You want to have a definition of done. All right, so now that we're ready to jump in, let's hit develop. And initially, it's always good to do, and this is not a hard and fast rule. It's generally the approach that I take, but editing can be an iterative process. But generally speaking, I'll go for the global adjustments first, and then get into whatever local adjustments are needed. So in this particular case, I am going to bring in a brightness and contrast adjustment, and I want to bring that brightness up just so that we can get more of that airy look to the image. Okay, and the other thing we want is for the cherry blossoms themselves to pop. So I'm going to use an HSL adjustment for that, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. I'm going to do a Control 9 or Command 9 if you're in Mac, so you can get a better view of the actual petals. And I'm going to reuse this particular splotch. I don't know what you call these. Splotch? We'll call it splotch. So use the picker, and I want to get in and grab it right about there. All right, so once we're there, I want to bring up the saturation a bit. Not a whole lot, but maybe somewhere around there, just so that there's a color contrast between these and any background elements of the photo. And then the luminosity I want to bring up just to brighten those up a bit as well. So let's go back to the full view, and you'll see these are definitely standing out a lot more. You can take a look at that. Okay, before and after. It also contributes to that airy look that we're going for in this image. And from here, different local adjustments can be done if you want to de-emphasize certain areas. But what I've decided to do for this particular image is use the vignette filter, which is one of the live filters. And I'm going to take the hardness down. That should always be the first thing. Here, let me show you. When you use the vignette filter in Affinity, you'll see that as you bring the exposure down, it really has a harsh edge. I think part of that is because it's intended to emulate a camera vignette, but we're not using it to look like a camera lens vignette. We're using this to just darken the edges and bring more emphasis to the center of the frame. So I want to bring the hardness down, and I'm going to take that down to probably around 34-35% in that neighborhood. And then I can start to bring down the exposure. And I'm not going to go an awful lot, maybe one stop, probably in around here will do it, just enough to darken that. And I also want to scale this so so it comes away from the tree a bit. So we'll scale that to about there. Maybe we want to darken it just a bit more. Okay, now if we did want to remove any of the elements, like this rock maybe is a little out of place here. So I'm going to go back to the background layer, and I'm going to add a pixel layer above that. And we're going to use this pixel layer for doing the removal rather than editing directly on the background layer. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this. You can make a duplicate of that layer and then directly edit on that duplicate, or use the pixel layer, and that way everything is non-destructive, and you can always go back to another point in time. Okay, so we're going to go over here and we're going to grab the in-painting tool, and you want to make sure that current layer and below, if it says current layer, nothing's going to happen. You can go anywhere here and do that, and it's going to remove nothing from nothing because it's not looking at the layer below. So make sure you select current layer and below. And once you do that, it's going to replace the pixels from that below layer with something to replace the image, but it'll put it on that pixel layer. So just click on that and you'll see that is gone. And if we disable that layer, you'll see our little rock came back here. We may also want to maybe remove this element from the frame, and it's gone. And so the final step when you're doing any creative adjustments is to reassess your image, just like we did now. Reassess and thought, okay, we'll get rid of that rock and that other distraction. So reassess and re-edit, but make sure you don't overdo it, because you can be in edit mode forever. So make sure you define what done looks like, and this is what I like as far as done goes. Now, I told you we'd also take a look at using snapshots. And so you'll see here that I've got 3 snapshots, and these snapshots will be saved with the image. So when you go back out and back in again, you can take the image back to whatever point in time you create the snapshot for. So what I had done to create, say, this pre-adjustment snapshot is I went in and I selected all these layers. I deleted them, and then I created that snapshot by clicking that little box with a plus in it, and I called that pre-adjustment. Hit OK, and now you'll see we've got this new pre-adjustment layer. So if we go back to final, and the check mark button will restore the snapshot, takes us back to our final. We go to pre-adjustment, we click on that, takes us back to the pre-adjustment or back to the original. And to do the original, I took the pre-adjustment where I had all the adjustments removed. Then I went back into the Develop Studio and I reset all the values in the Develop Studio. So this is really back to when the image was initially loaded, all the way from there to the final image. And actually this final image that was saved was based on my previous test edit. So in here, we could go ahead and get rid of those elements that we had gotten rid of and have a new final image. So I still have the in-painting tool selected. So we'll select that rock. And as you can see, we do have current layer and below. We're going to select this item right here, and it will disappear. There we go. It's gone. And then I can then create a new snapshot by clicking the Add Snapshot button, and we'll call this New Final. Enter. Okay, and if we go to load up the final again, those elements are back. Go to the new final, load it up, the elements are gone. I hope you learned something from this video. If you liked what you saw, please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Have a great day.